Are you an inbound marketer looking for the inside scoop on what's next? Are you ready to unlock HubSpot's full potential and yours? If so, you've come to the right place. The Hubcast is your leading resource for user-friendly HubSpot tips, expert insights and strategies, exclusive interviews with inbound's brightest minds, and the latest insider news. And now, here's your host, George B. Thomas.
And you know, it's funny because I know there's music typically playing and I love like bouncing around, even though right now, as we're starting the Hubcast, there is no music other than the music that plays in my head. I am George B. Thomas here to welcome you, and she is
Karina Duffy.
Now, I wonder if I'll do that at the end because we did it at the beginning. I doubt it, Karina. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing good, man. I was on vacation for a couple days last week, doing some riding up in New Hampshire. So I am excited to be back and just catching up on all the things on this snowy Monday.
Yeah, you gotta love catching up on things. So no broken bones though, right? You did some snowboarding, everything's good?
Everything's good. Definitely sore, but we're good.
Yeah, I know how that is. Like if I tried to snowboard right now, I would probably need like a week off from my vacation of actually snowboarding. Anyway, folks, this week's Hubcast is brought to you by, well, us at Impact and those wonderful workshops we do. Do you need a HubSpot intensive training? Do you need a CRM workshop where we actually show you how to set up Sales Pro, how to actually add multiple pipelines, how to get the most out of the HubDB? If you're sitting there wondering what the heck is HubDB, the answer to that question is yes, you may need a workshop. But without further ado, that's enough of the salesy side of things. Karina, let's go ahead and move into the section that we love to call HubSpot Property. Oh yeah, of the week.
Yes. Our property of the week this week is currently in sequence. So this property is only visible to those of you who are using Sales Pro. So basically, if you don't know what sequences are, a little bit of background on them, it's almost like mini workflows. That's how I like to think about them. So you can do sales sequences where you can put together email templates and tasks for yourself so you can help to nurture those inbound leads on the sales side. So the currently in sequence property specifically is, it indicates whether or not a contact has been enrolled in a sequence. It's set automatically to true when a contact is currently enrolled in a sequence. So what I love about this is if something comes up with a contact, if you're looking at individual contacts, you can see if they're being nurtured by sales. And you could see if they're in a sequence, and then you could dive in further to actually look at, where in the sequence they are and how they've interacted with any of those emails. But I think this is a really, really simple property, but a really nice thing to be able to see quickly in a contact, whether they're already in a sequence, so you don't put them in another sequence or do any other kind of nurturing that's sort of stepping on sales toes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It comes down to time optimization. I mean, any property that will allow you to squeeze another 2, 5, 17 seconds out of the day is the property for me. I love sequences. I love currently having people in sequences because that means that, well, someday I might have money in my wallet, people. That's another reason you should love this property. You know what else you should love is this week's wish list, or I should say HubSpot wish list. Actually, let's do a little side travel. You might be wondering, George, why is it important for you to say HubSpot wish list instead of wish list? Well, that's because I think Google is listening to this podcast right now, and I want them to know that it's about HubSpot. By the way, that's a little video tip for you, but let's get into the wish list item. This week's wish list item is add lead flow submissions to a campaign. I mean, come on, this is so true. Let's just preach it. But anyway, Liam Bates submitted this at community.hubspot.com. By the way, if you're not over there, if you're not paying attention, if you're not adding wishlist items, I don't even know if you're HubSpotting people. No, I'm just kidding. We still love you. But Liam says lead flows are one of the best features HubSpot has ever created. Liam, easy there, homeboy. I don't know if it's one of the best features, but it is a great feature. And one of our clients receives a ton of their leads through an exit intent pop-up and slide-in banners. And totally agree. We have a ton of clients that generate those low-hanging fruit leads as well with that. Unfortunately, they are not tracked yet in the HubSpot campaigns feature, making it not fully comprehensive of a whole campaign strategy. Totally agree. Like, we're measuring our blogs, we're measuring our CTAs, we're measuring our emails, but we're not measuring where they possibly started their journey with a lead flow and a pop-in. That's kind of crazy. I agree with you, Liam. Anyway, he says this would be a great addition and better represent the success and or failure of a campaign when they run it. If you agree with Liam, then go ahead, go over to the show notes and vote it up. Man, I love saying voted. I'm just saying that's like my favorite thing. Karina, what are your thoughts on this wishlist item?
It seems like an obvious thing almost. Like I actually was surprised to see that you can't track them in a campaign. So and it seems like HubSpot has been working on lead flows recently, so I'm feeling like maybe this would be just a nice thing to put a ribbon on all the updates they've been doing to lead flows, get them tracking, in campaigns. It seems to make total sense. So yeah. I agree.
Let me help you get into your next little section, because I love that you're like, well, it seems like they're working on lead flows. And that's because Karina is part of the Facebook group, or one of the Facebook groups we have that is Mastering HubSpot, where we actually had Shay, who happens to know a little bit about the HubSpot lead flows tool, come into the Mastering HubSpot group and say, hey, we're working on this, and we're working on this, and we're working on that. Oh, and by the way, that might be part of the reason that we're bringing up this particular wish list item, because we know that we're working on it. I'm just saying. But what other group could people join us in, Karina, that they would just maybe potentially, possibly, most of the time, get their mind blown with the information that they're going to see?
Yes. So check out Mastering HubSpot. George already mentioned that one. We also have Impact Elite. And we've been touching on this the last couple of weeks. So what I wanted to do with this segment today was give you a little snapshot of sort of a typical post that happens on Impact Elite, so you can kind of get an idea of really what's going on there. It's not just a bunch of people on there sort of twiddling their thumbs. There's all kinds of posts on there. People are posting all the time with questions or asking for advice. So on Thursday, Caitlin posted asking for advice on getting sales buy-in to do videos. So she's been trying to get the sales team to do videos. She's gotten a lot of pushback. She shared a little bit of her story, couple sentences, and within 24 hours, there was 4 super helpful and practical comments and replies to that. And I looked through, she had Zachy B on there, and there was a couple other people who had some really, really insightful comments. Not just sort of the typical, like, here's an article that I found, but actually experiential comments of things that they've experienced and advice that they had. And it was just super valuable. And she commented back to a bunch of them saying how helpful it was. That could be you. If you're looking for feedback from other inbound marketers or inbound salespeople on the things that you're doing and the challenges that you're having, there's so many people on that group that want to help and want to offer their advice. So there's a little tidbit of something that happened on Impact Elite this past week. We would love to have you join We would love to answer any questions you have or have you contribute to questions that other community members have.
Yeah, definitely. Karina mentioned Zachy B. For those of you who are listening that don't know who Zachy B is, we're talking about one Zach Basner, which, by the way, on the level of like video, like awesomeness, you know, you've got like Guru Ninja. Zachy B is quickly becoming the video god. I'm just saying, if you haven't checked out Film School for Marketers over on YouTube, whoo, what are you doing with your time? Anyway, make sure you check out one of our Facebook groups. You know, Karina, we're going to go to our side-by-side view for the Hubcast for a second, because it's time for those things that make us go, I'm going to be honest with you. This week, I was at Social Media Marketing World, and I got to look at a lot of people. Like, I think there was almost 5,000 people walking around the halls, coming into the building. I got a chance to fly there and fly back, and watching people on, in airports, on airplanes. It's just, it's like my favorite thing to do anyway. But then that got me thinking, like, we do some really weird things. And so I started searching Google, and I found this article that we're going to share with the Hubcast listeners that is 47 inexplicably strange things that we all do. And what's funny is the top 10. We're gonna talk about the top 10. And Karina, if there's one that isn't in the top 10 that you read and you're like, oh my gosh, and you just started laughing, like, you can cover that too. But I definitely wanted to cover the top 10 because I need the Hubcast listeners to tweet out or Facebook post or send smoke signals. I don't care. However you need to communicate, and tell me if this junk ain't true. I mean, this junk is true. So coming in at number 1, we've got continually check the fridge to see if any food has magically appeared. I have done this so many times, and I know that my wife or I or a donkey has not gone down to Walmart and brought in more food into the refrigerator, but I do this. Number 2 was pull out your phone. I had to laugh out loud on this one, to be honest with you, Karina.
So guilty. Guilty.
Oh my gosh. Listeners, please. You pull out your phone to check the time, only to realize you have to do it again because you forgot to look at the clock. What were you looking at? Like the wallpaper, the logo? I don't know, but you didn't look at the clock, and so you had to check twice. Number 3, have a full-on conversation with yourself, especially when you're sitting in an airport watching people. I'm just saying, this is really the one that kind of spurred to me, like, why am I sitting here communicating with myself? Asking what? By the way, my wife will attest to that. I am an absolute pro at this. Asking what? Even though you heard what the person said. Hey, start reading the menu from the middle. Why wouldn't you start at the top of the menu where the appetizers are, right? But you start in the middle. Number 6, after making a typing mistake, you delete the entire sentence and start over instead of simply using backspace. Oh my gosh. I have watched so many people do this, Karina, and it's like mind blown. You remember back to the optimizing time thing that we talked about a minute ago? Like I'm about to pass out. Why did you start over? Number 7, suddenly forget how to type because somebody's now watching you. Oh, have you ever been there? I'm just saying. Like, you're with clients and you're watching them, and then you all of a sudden hear like 12 times, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I fat fingered that. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, nothing changed. Like, your fingers didn't all of a sudden like get 20 pounds heavier. I don't know what's going on there. Number 8, immediately read an email right after you send it, even though you already proofed it like, 50 times. Yeah, we all do that. 2 more people, but there's 47 of these. Like, by the way, me putting the link to this article is not helping you optimize your time, but you will get some giggles out of this. Number 9. Oh my gosh. Saying yes when someone asks you if you've seen/heard something, even though you haven't. Oh yeah, I've heard that. And then you quickly go and Google it. And this is my favorite. I think number 10 should have been number 1. I'm just saying, because I have done this so many times. If you don't believe me, next event you see me at, test it. I'm telling you right now, saying ow when you're not actually hurt. Like when someone like fake punches you or you accidentally hit something. Oh, I just hurt myself because we hit number 10. Let's go back into the rest of the show. Karina, was there any out of there? Was there any out of there that you were like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy?
There was a bunch in there that I was like, okay, I feel a little better about myself because I totally do this, and apparently they say it's strange, but apparently it's normal if it's on here and everybody's doing it. But the one that really got me was, and I think there was actually two that were semi-related, but the number 3, have a full-on conversation with yourself. That's like it's like my strange addiction or something. If I'm by myself, and I think it's because, here's a little tidbit about me, I'm a total external processor. So I have a really hard time like processing all my thoughts inside of my head, but if I talk to somebody about it, it helps a lot. But sometimes I don't have anybody to talk to. So if I'm and I do it when I'm in the car, this is when it's really bad. I'll just talk to myself, or I'll give a speech or something like that to try to process what's going on in my head. But I think, man, if somebody like was recording me, or this was a hidden camera show, people would be like, that chick is nuts.
Yeah, well, you're good because you're just talking to yourself. When I'm driving down the road, it's full on like sing, like I got the mic, and I have had people like, I always hate that moment when you look over and you realize people have been watching you for way too long at a red light, and you are like singing "I Will Survive" at the top of your lungs, and you forgot that your window was wound down. Anyway, you know what else we can survive? We can survive the HubSpot strategy. This week, we're going to talk about inbound sales because, we talk about marketing a lot, but a little bit about sales. Karina, it's funny because I know that like you've dealt with some inbound sales, but inbound sales probably isn't like your total jam yet because, we're always working on becoming awesome. But when you hear the phrase inbound sales, or when HubSpot kind of dropped out their certifications on inbound sales and started to become a CRM, and it wasn't just about inbound marketing, but you could see the movement kind of spreading out to other places. What were your thoughts when that was kind of happening? Or even now, like what are your thoughts kind of typically on a day-to-day process of inbound sales?
Inbound sales seemed like a very natural progression for HubSpot, right? So inbound marketing was their big thing. They developed this whole software around it. They developed the whole methodology, so much education and training around it. And I think they probably got to a point that was like, what's the next thing? And I think part of that is probably because they were educating marketers. So marketers started doing all of this inbound, but the sales teams were still doing outbound and more traditional approaches. And so there sort of became this disconnect of, we're getting all of these inbound leads, but the salespeople are selling to them in sort of that outbound way. I think one of the biggest things as I think about inbound sales and that shift from maybe outbound or traditional sales to inbound sales is really the shift from the focus being on the seller and what they're selling to the focus being on the buyer and what they're buying, which is really the same shift that was happening in marketing as well. So it seems like a very, very natural progression for HubSpot to sort of go from inbound marketing to inbound sales. And I think the biggest thing that I see with the methodology is that human to human focus on the buyer. And I mean, Impact has experienced this firsthand in the way that we, have changed the way that we sell, from really focusing on the buyer and their pains and what they need versus let me just sell whatever it is that we have to everybody that we possibly can.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And here's the thing. I brought this up because, I'm sort of cheating, to be honest with you, on the show notes because I got a little email from HubSpot and they said, hey, your inbound sales certification test needs to be redone. And I'm not really the guy just to go take the test and get it done. I start to watch the videos again. And it was all about like, what is inbound sales? Why is inbound sales important? And you totally hit it. You hit it out of of the park, Karina, because it is about the fact that it's about the buyer. It's not about the seller. It's about the buyer's journey and what we're all going through. And of course, there were some notes that I started to write down. When we talk about the buyer's journey, are you paying attention not just on your marketing side, but on your sales side of that awareness and consideration and decision phases, and what communication, what elements need to be presented to the buyer that will help them get, into or past those sections. And one of the things, and I say it's one of the things, but it's actually two things. So can one thing be two things? I don't know. But a couple of things, there we go, that they said in the video when I was rewatching this was that companies who focus on inbound sales focus on two major things. And the two major things was that their sales strategy is based completely on the buyer and not themselves. This is the part that you brought up. But then also that inbound, and guys and gals, I think this is so important to where we're at. And this is really what Karina said, and what I'm saying right now is like, if your sales team is having a hard time with this might be, again, another reason why you need a sales workshop. It might be another reason why you'll want to look into some ways to get going with inbound sales. But inbound sales professionals personalize. They personalize the entire, not part, not partial, the entire sales process to the buyer's context, to where they are. And here's the thing, if you want to start to pay attention more to inbound sales for your company, you can, of course, look at the HubSpot inbound sales certification, right? If you're not subscribed to the HubSpot Sales blog, you can definitely do that. You can even go and check out the inbound sales software certification, because even in the software, they're talking about how you could use that for inbound sales. And I would even say, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you would join us over at Impact Elite, where we have thousands, literally thousands of professionals to carry on the conversation with. So you don't have to be like Karina and conversate with yourself. There's a ton of people over there. There's a ton of people over there, I'm just saying, that will conversate with you about inbound sales, because you have to be ready to add value in today's space. That is inbound sales. That's why it's important. That's why you guys should be focusing on it. And if you have questions, just let us know. Also, if you have questions, you can let us know by going over to the show notes, hitting the link in the show notes, and getting our free 15-minute assessment. I love doing these assessments. It's like if you could just take a time in my day and say, when do you feel like you are just giving a crap ton, which is a real measurement, people, a crap ton of value. It is during these 15-minute assessments, because I'm looking at what people are doing inside of their portal, outside of their portal. I'm listening to what they're trying to achieve, and then I just drop some bombs. Of course, it's not too many bombs because it's only 15 minutes. You know what else bombs? We got some bombs this week. They are our HubSpot updates. Karina, there's some interesting stuff happening in this one, so I'm going to let you take it away. I'll probably try to be quiet so that I can, now that I've given people 47 ways to go waste time with the show notes, I'll probably be quiet during the updates so that we can optimize their listening of the show. HubSpot updates, go ahead and take it away.
Here we go. So there's some good ones, and I'm even going to throw in a little bonus at the end here. So we have a new HubSpot Connect partner, which is WooCommerce by Make Web Better. So WooCommerce, I was looking into this, and they claim that they power 28% of online stores right now. So this is huge. What they say about this integration is, it's an open source e-commerce plugin for WordPress made for online businesses. That's what WooCommerce is. Use data collected from WooCommerce to create tailored marketing campaigns in HubSpot for different buyer personas based on the total purchase value and frequency of persona purchase orders. This can drive new and old customers towards sales, saving yourself and your team valuable time and resources by making sure your content gets into the right hands. So this integration is essentially a data integration. It's passing data from WooCommerce on your WordPress site to HubSpot and your contact properties. This is fantastic. I'm sure that people that are using WooCommerce are rejoicing right now, because having things like recent purchases, total purchase values, and being able to tie those to personas and tie those to lead nurturing, holy crap. Just thinking about this, my mind is like, oh, if you're doing e-commerce and using WooCommerce, you got to get this integration and start building some workflows around these new contact properties that you can sync up.
Okay, I tried. I did. I tried. I was like, back behind the scenes, I was like, I can't. Look, if you go back and listen to historical episodes of the Hubcast, you know where Karina and I talked about Google helping make WordPress better, making it faster, making it just like they dispatched, what was it, some type of elite team? Like, it was crazy, the terminology. It was hilarious. So we know that Google is helping WordPress get better. Now we've got this company making WooCommerce, which WooCommerce is in WordPress. It's e-commerce. And we also know that WordPress is like 65% of the internet websites, which, Karina, is why 28% of e-commerce stores didn't surprise me, because they're attached to the largest CMS. Oh my gosh, and now you integrate it with HubSpot. Okay, I promise I'm going to be quiet. Karina's going to go back to the updates, but holy crap, people. This is amazing to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially because there's, tends to be a lot of limitations with HubSpot and e-commerce. So the more that we can bring those together is really, really good for marketers. Let's move on. So there's a new feature now live, which is set automatic email reminder for meetings. So within the meetings tool, this is what they say. We've all been stood up for meetings before. Not only is it a bummer, but it also means you're missing out on a chance to close a deal. As a sales rep, you want to be able to remind your prospects of an upcoming meeting in order to increase your chance of closing a deal. But time is money, right? So manually reaching out to prospects isn't the most productive way to spend your day. Now you can set up your meetings link to automatically send reminder emails to prospects 72 hours and 1 hour before your meeting, which will decrease no-shows and increase your productivity. Not a whole lot more to say about that. It's really simple. It's just a little checkbox that's now added as you're setting up that meeting link. So you just check that and it'll automatically send those reminders in there. There's not a lot of customization you can do with that. It's really just a checkbox, but that is super nice for those of you who are using that meetings tool. Our last update is updating points of contact right in the HubSpot app. So if you go in the company and contact section of the account and billing dashboard, customers and partners can now manage points of contact right in their HubSpot portal. So as a partner, various members of your team should be assigned as the primary contact or onboarding contact for a specific client. In addition, someone from the client should be listed as the decision maker or billing contact. Please be sure to keep this up to date for your HubSpot clients to ensure that HubSpot notifications go to the appropriate person. I think that last sentence is the biggest thing. Notifications going to the right person is often a big headache. And this will help a lot with that.
Yeah, and you said you have a special one, like, update as well. What's that all about?
I do. So they recently, I'm not sure when they actually pushed this live, but they announced in January that they're going to be making some updates to the HubSpot partner directory. And the redesign of the partner directory is now live. So all of you agency partners out there, make sure that you get onto the new partner directory. And if you're not, first of all, if you're not leveraging the partner directory right now as an agency, you got to do it. We get a lot of leads and a lot of new clients just from the partner directory. People are searching for HubSpot partners, and it's really important to make sure that your profile on there is set up, that you're getting your past clients to leave reviews. So HubSpot's doing all kinds of stuff. We'll put a link in the show notes about what exactly they're doing, but they're basically overhauling it. They're using HubDB, and
yeah.
So previously, like their partner pages weren't indexed in the partner directory because of how it was built and all that good stuff. So it's going to give a lot more visibility to that partner directory, which I think is going to be huge. But it also means that you got to get in there and make sure that your stuff is up to date so that you can get the most visibility that you can. So check that out if you haven't yet. George, I'm going to leave it up to you to get into some what the hack.
Yeah, we're going to what the hack it. Hey, I will tell you, Hubcast listeners, one, let me just say this to you. If you keep hearing us, it's just funny because this episode, and this was not on purpose, this episode has become very kind of sales oriented. Like, I mean, it's about sales strategy and sequence property. And we've talked about HubDB. I think it's come 2 or 3 times out of our mouth. Like, if you're curious, like what HubDB is, or you're diving more into the sales tool, just know that tomorrow, which will actually, it'll already be live when you guys are hearing this, but tomorrow in the time that is today. Ooh, that was like Inception for a hot second. Anyway, I am doing an interview with Victoria from HubSpot about HubDB, and we're going to get nitty gritty and nerdy with it. The other thing that I will tell you before I get into what the hack is, Ramona, I do believe, just dropped an article. That's the link that Karina is talking about. We're on Impact website. We talk about all the things that are awesome about the HubSpot Partner Directory. But directory? Directory. But anyway, we need to get into the HubSpot hacks because sometimes HubSpot needs a little help and other times you do as well. Weekly tips, tricks, and HubSpot hacks to help you master HubSpot. This week, it was super easy, super nerdy. I mean, as soon as I saw the feature, I knew I wanted to do a tutorial on it. And so you can go over to YouTube right now as we record. Wait, you're not going to hear it for a couple days, but as you listen, I did that on purpose, like again. But anyway, never mind. How to set up and to post using HubSpot to your Instagram. That's right. I show you how to take a regular Instagram, turn it into a business Instagram, how to link it into HubSpot, how to post it, and actually before you post it, how to take an image that isn't square, make it square, and make it square right in HubSpot with something that you might or might not know is there. Anyway, you'll have to watch the tutorial, but make sure you watch the tutorial before we send out our next monthly newsletter. Karina, it's about that time, girl.
It is. We've been talking about this, and if you've signed up, you're probably like, hey, it's been about a month. We're getting ready to send out our first monthly newsletter, so make sure that you get onto the Hubcast page and sign up for that newsletter. We're going to have all kinds of good, juicy, HubSpot-y content in there. So sign up, and we will just keep telling you about it if you don't. So you might as well just do it now.
Might as well just do it now. You know what else is good, juicy content? Is we got a HubSpot Hack Award intro or entry or whatever. Put whatever words you want in there from Jeppe. Jeppe's awesome, by the way. He is a friend of the Sales Lion and the Hubcast show from way back before we became Impactors. And, you know, Karina, I'm going to let you roll with this. Just explain to the... By the way, can I just say mind blown? Like that it just goes, it goes deep in a good way, folks. Karina's going to explain it. Jeppe, this is awesome. Let's go ahead and explain to the listeners what you can do with the power of numbers.
Yes. So I love this. This is from Jeppe. Like, this is exactly what I was looking for with these HubSpot hacks. So I'm just going to read the email that he sent over to us. So he says, the other day I was on the phone with a client that needed to create a list of contacts attached to a parent company in the CRM. Apparently, HubSpot has chosen to make life hard on people who want to do that. I don't know that they've done that intentionally, but... Or maybe it's currently a bug that causes the company property parent company to be just a number instead of selecting the actual company name, which makes it pretty hard to enter a name of that parent company. But I found out, I being Jeppe, that if you go into your company database in HubSpot and find that parent company, you can find this number in the URL. If you copy and paste that ID number into the parent company property on your list, bada bing and boom shakalaka, you have a list of contacts associated with a company that has this parent company attached. That was my best hack of the month. It can be used in other ways as well, but that ID is very good to know for both companies, contacts, deals, etc. So if you find that you're looking for an ID number, you can go into that parent company or whatever that contact property is, and you'll actually see the number in the URL, and you can pull that number out and put it in. I am wondering if maybe it was currently some kind of a bug that was doing that, that was like doing something on the front end that it was supposed to be doing on the back end. But I love that hacking. Well done, Jeppe. That's awesome.
Yeah, this was amazing to me. I mean, it is really thinking outside of the box. It's making HubSpot do what you want it to do versus sometimes what they think it should be doing. By the way, there's going to be images in the show notes. To hear it, you kind of really have to see it. There's a lot of good visuals that Jeppe sent along. By the way, Jeppe, when I read this, to envision you actually saying the words bada bing, boom shakalaka, I have to tell you, it made me smile because it would have had some type of Denmarkian, Norwegian inflection to it. So that was amazing. By the way, folks, this show has been amazing. Until next time, when we talk about other nerdy HubSpot goodness, like, I don't know, CRMs and marketing professionals and things that they dream about, that might be a hint. I'm just saying. Make sure you go over to the iTunes. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, go over to the iTunes. Leave us a rating and review. I really am going to go start mining some comments out of there so I can talk about you, talk about your business, and let other people know why they should be listening. We might even use it on our show notes area or our actual Hubcast area. So when people are going through and saying, oh, why should I listen or watch another show? You can be the reason that they said, oh, Karina and George and the Hubcast is absolutely amazing. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you go over and subscribe, hit that bell for instant notifications. We are going to continue to create incredible content, interviews, tutorials, Hubcast episodes for you. Until next time, folks, this is George B. Thomas. And of course, the co-hostess with the mostest, Karina Duffy, saying, go out into the world and be a happy, helpful human. And while you're doing that, you might as well go ahead and do some happy HubSpotting.